It usually starts in a very quiet way. You don't even notice it at first. You're just scrolling through your phone, moving from one post to another, not really thinking about anything in particular. And then something shifts. You see someone your age who seems more successful than you, more confident, more certain about their life. And in that moment, it stops being observation. It becomes comparison. And somehow, without even deciding to, you place yourself below them. At first, it feels harmless. You tell yourself that everyone does this, that it's normal to measure where you stand. But for you, it doesn't end there. It lingers. You close the app, but the feeling stays. You replay their life in your head, imagining what it must feel like to be them. And slowly, you begin to question your own life in comparison. What makes it exhausting is that no matter what you achieve, it never feels like enough. Because there is always someone ahead of you. Someone who has done more, figured things out faster, or seems more put together. Even when you know that what you're seeing isn't the full picture, the feeling doesn't go away. It's no longer logical. It becomes emotional, and emotions don't respond to logic the way we expect them to. Most people assume this happens because they're insecure, that if they just had more confidence, they would stop comparing themselves. But that explanation is too simple. Because even people who seem confident, even people who are successful, still find themselves caught in the same pattern. So the real question isn't why you feel insecure. It's why your mind keeps returning to comparison, even when it hurts you. The truth is that your brain is designed to compare. It has always worked this way. Long before social media, humans relied on comparison to understand their place in a group. It helped you figure out where you stood, what you needed to improve, and how to belong. In a small environment, this made sense. The comparisons were limited, and they were real. But today, that system is overwhelmed. Instead of comparing yourself to a small group of people, you're comparing yourself to hundreds or thousands of individuals, often seeing only the best parts of their lives. You're not comparing reality to reality anymore. You're comparing your everyday life to someone else's highlights, and your brain doesn't fully recognize the difference. This is where something deeper begins to happen. It's no longer just about improvement. It becomes about your sense of worth. Every comparison starts to feel like a judgment. If they are ahead, you must be behind. If they are doing better, you must not be doing enough. Over time, this creates a quiet pressure, a feeling that you are always slightly behind where you should be. What makes this even more complicated is that you don't compare yourself to everyone equally. You compare yourself to people who represent a version of who you think you should be. That's why certain people affect you more than others. It's not random. It's connected to your own expectations and the version of yourself you feel you haven't become yet. You might see someone who has built a career faster than you, and suddenly you feel like you're wasting time. Or you see someone in a relationship that looks perfect, and you begin to question your own life. Or you see someone who seems confident and expressive, and you feel like you're holding yourself back. In each case, the comparison isn't really about them. It's about the gap between where you are and where you think you should be. And the more you focus on that gap, the less clearly you can see yourself. Your attention shifts outward instead of inward. Instead of understanding your own pace and your own path, you begin to measure everything against someone else's timeline. And because that timeline was never designed for you, it will always feel like you're falling behind. Over time, this creates a loop. The more you compare yourself to others, the worse you feel. And the worse you feel, the more you look for comparisons to understand what's wrong. It feels like you're trying to fix something, but in reality, you're reinforcing the very feeling you're trying to escape. The shift begins when you stop asking, "Why am I not like them?" and start asking, "What exactly about them affects me?" Because every comparison points to something specific. It might be their confidence, their discipline, their freedom, or their clarity. And once you identify that, the comparison stops being an attack on your self-worth and becomes information. When you see it this way, something changes. Other people stop being proof that you're not enough, and instead become reflections of what you value. Not something to measure yourself against, but something to learn from in your own way, at your own pace. At the end of the day, the problem was never that you compare yourself to others. The problem was that you believed those comparisons defined your value. But they don't. They only reflect what you pay attention to. And once you understand that, you can finally shift your focus away from being ahead or behind, and towards something that matters far more. Because your life was never meant to look like theirs,